Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning. Everything seems normal. You get out of bed, you walk down the hall, you open the bathroom door, and then the toilet is gone. Not broken, gone, no toilet, no plumbing, no toilet paper, no sink, no little fan pretending everything is fine. Just you, your body, and a very urgent problem that modern life usually hides behind a door. Today, using the bathroom feels private, simple, almost boring. You sit down, you flush, the problem disappears. But for most humans in history, the problem did not disappear. It had to go somewhere. So if ancient humans did not have modern toilets, what did they actually do? The easy answer is to imagine someone nervously hiding behind a bush. And yes, sometimes the answer probably was something like that. But that is not the whole story, because ancient humans were not stupid. They were not just wandering around being confused by their own bodies. They had the same problem we have. They just had fewer pipes. And depending on where they lived, how many people lived nearby, how wealthy they were, and what kind of technology their society had, the solution could be very different. Some people likely went outside. Some used pits. Some used pots. Some used drains. Some used public latrines. And some ancient societies built bathroom systems that were surprisingly clever. So the real story is not, ancient people were gross. The real story is this: the toilet is not just a seat. It is one of humanity's oldest attempts to make an awkward daily problem disappear. To understand this, we have to start with the simplest version of human life. A small group, a camp, a lot of open land. If you lived in a small mobile group, the bathroom problem was very different from the way it is in a crowded city. There were fewer people. There was more space, and your group might not stay in one place forever. So in many cases, the solution was probably simple. Walk away. Away from where people slept. Away from where people cooked. Away from the water source, if people understood that connection. Away from the group, if you wanted any privacy at all. The first bathroom was not a room, it was distance. Your door was a long walk. Your lock was hoping nobody followed you. And your luxury feature was a bush that was slightly wider than your body. But this only works when there is enough space. If 5 people are living in a temporary camp, the problem is manageable. If 5,000 people are packed into a city, the problem becomes city planning. Because once humans started settling down, everything changed. Waste did not get left behind anymore, it stayed. Near the homes, near the paths, near the animals, near the food, near the water. And when humans invented permanent homes, they also invented permanent smells. At that point, the bathroom question was no longer just, where do I go? It became, where does it go after that? That is the question that changes everything. Because a toilet is only useful if the problem goes somewhere safe. Otherwise, you have not solved the problem. You have just moved it slightly to the left. So in settled villages and early communities, people likely used more organized solutions. Designated spots, simple pits, holes in the ground, outdoor areas away from daily life, places where waste could be buried, dumped, or kept separate from homes and food. This may not sound impressive, but it is actually a big step. Because a hole in the ground sounds primitive until you remember the alternative is everywhere. At some point, humans probably looked around and thought, maybe we should stop improvising. That is civilization. Not just temples and kings and fancy walls. Sometimes civilization is a group of people silently agreeing. Let's keep that over there. And once humans started building bigger settlements, some societies went much further. This is where the story gets surprising. Because while most people in history did not have anything like a private modern flush toilet, some ancient people did have toilets, drains, bathrooms, and waste systems. In parts of the ancient Indus civilization, homes could have bathrooms with brick floors and drains. That means some people were not just wandering into the wilderness. They had planned spaces where water and waste could move away from the house, which is honestly more organized than some first apartments. In Minoan Crete, evidence suggests there were early flushing-style systems in some elite settings, where water could help move waste through channels. Not modern plumbing, not a shiny white toilet with a handle, but still a clever system. And then there were the Romans. Roman cities had public latrines, sewers, aqueducts, baths, and water systems in some places. Again, this does not mean every Roman had a private bathroom. That would be way too simple. But it does mean some ancient urban people had access to organized toilet systems. And this is where modern viewers usually get shocked. Because Roman public toilets could be very public. Imagine a row of seats, side by side, no modern stalls, no little lock, no pretending you are alone on planet Earth. Just you, your neighbors, and the strange social confidence of the ancient world. For us, bathroom small talk is a nightmare. For some people in ancient Rome, it may have just been Tuesday. Modern people expect bathroom privacy. A closed door, a fan, a sink, a moment where society politely looks away. But in some ancient public latrines, privacy may not have been the main feature. The main feature was getting waste out of the way. That is a very different mindset. Today we ask, is the bathroom clean? In the ancient world, the question may have been closer to, does this problem go somewhere else? And then there is the detail everyone loves to bring up. The Roman sponge on a stick. Some sources describe Romans using a sea sponge on a stick, sometimes called a tersorium, in connection with latrines. But this is one of those facts that needs careful handling, because people online often turn it into the grossest possible version immediately. Like every Roman was sharing one nightmare sponge and nobody had questions. The more careful version is this. Some sources describe a sponge on a stick being used in Roman bathroom contexts, but historians debate exactly how it was used and how universal that practice really was. So yes, it is strange. Yes, it is memorable. But no, we should not turn it into a fake fact just because it gets a reaction. That is the rule with ancient bathroom history. If something sounds too perfectly disgusting, slow down. Humans were weird, but the internet makes them weirder. The bigger point is that ancient people had to solve a chain of problems. First, where does the person go? Then, where does the waste go? Then, how do you keep it away from food and water? Then, how do you stop the smell? Then, how do you do this when hundreds or thousands of people live close together? That is why toilets are not just about comfort. They are about settlement, health, water, privacy, status, engineering, and trying not to make the whole neighborhood unbearable. But even when ancient societies built drains, latrines, or sewers, that did not mean the problem was completely solved. Ancient sanitation could be impressive, but it was not magic. Waste could still contaminate water or soil. Parasites could still spread. Public systems could move the problem without fully eliminating the danger. A sewer is only as good as where it sends everything. If the problem leaves your house but eventually visits your drinking water, civilization has not fully won yet. That is why modern plumbing changed more than convenience. It changed expectations. Today, we are used to the bathroom being private. We are used to waste disappearing instantly. We are used to not thinking about where it goes. That is historically unusual. For most of human history, the body's mess did not vanish behind porcelain and pipes. It had to be handled, buried, carried, drained, dumped, moved, avoided, or planned around. Modern toilets make the process invisible. They hide the labor. They hide the smell. They hide the danger. They hide the awkwardness. You press a handle, and thousands of years of human discomfort are handled by a system under the floor, which is kind of amazing. And also kind of weird, because the modern toilet makes us feel like the problem is gone, but it is not gone. It is just very well managed. So what did ancient humans do without toilets? The honest answer is, it depended. If they lived in small mobile groups, many likely went outside, away from camp. If they lived in settled villages, they may have used pits, designated areas, or simple latrine-like spaces. If they lived in more developed ancient cities, some used drains, chamber pots, public latrines, sewers, or early flushing-style systems. If they were wealthy, they might have had better access to private facilities or help. If they were poor, they may have relied on shared spaces or more basic options. If they lived in a dry place, the evidence might survive better. If they lived in a wet place, the evidence might disappear. There was no single ancient bathroom experience. There was a menu of awkward options. Some walked away from it. Some buried it. Some drained it. Some carried it. Some flushed it with water. Some sat next to strangers and hoped civilization was worth it. And that is what makes this topic so interesting. The bathroom is not just a bathroom. It is a reminder that every human society, no matter how powerful or impressive, has to solve the same basic body problems. Before people built palaces, they needed somewhere to sleep. Before they built armies, they needed food that would not kill them. And before they built beautiful cities, they had to answer one very unglamorous question. Where does all this go? Ancient humans were not less human than us. They were humans before the flush button. They were practical. They were inventive. They were sometimes awkward, and they were constantly trying to make daily life a little less terrible. Modern life did not remove the weird human problem. It just gave it pipes. So the next time you flush a toilet and walk away